all right. Party people in the place to be, vandals, and all the people that took their husband's name. This is a brand new episode of How Did We Get Here? We are talking about, well, this is our second Big Tuesday episode. And this one, we're going to be focusing on one book from one of Big Two. We're going to be talking about a Marvel book. This is a pretty underrated run, and from what I consider, from a pretty, I guess he's king of the C-listers, I would say. Punisher, like he's known, he's kind of loved, but his series has never run like pretty much longer than, I mean, like the except for under certain circumstances, but usually his he has pretty short runs. This one is pretty good. This one comes kind of after his big return through Marvel Knights and Max, and this is him back in Prime 616 territory, working with other superheroes, and I think it's probably one of the most solid, grounded, modern takes a Punisher in the main 616. What do you think about this run, Joey? Just kind of getting into it, because I've been a fan of this for a long time, and I've just recently introduced you to it.
I've read a bunch of Punisher in like where he makes short arc appearances in other people's books, stuff like that. I've read a few Punisher books, but I've never read a full run, and this is the first time I've read a full run of a Punisher book, and this one is Greg Rucka's one, and yeah, it was really good, man. Definitely. I don't know. I don't have much to compare it to. I just have what's the other thing I've read? Kill Crew, which was pretty good, but that's not really a punish. It's kind of a fun, more of a funnier book. But yeah, like most of the Punisher stuff I've read, he's always like makes appearances in other people's books, like for 2 or 3 issues, and causes some problems for people. But this was really good. I love the way Greg tackled the character, like man of few words, which it should be. He's the man of action, not of words. So yeah, I think he nailed it. I think he did a pretty good characterization of him. Like, the constant soldier, always about the mission. Yeah.
And he worked his noir style in really good, man. I like the way, like, this kind of a nice, Greg Rucka, slow burning, a lot of action in it. I'm not going to say that there's not,
it's a
but
quick
like,
read. Yeah.
It's a quick read, but there's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of characters. There's the 2 detectives, which we'll get into when we start doing the synopsis. But I really like the way he kind of kept this, like, a nice noir Greg Rucka book, while, like, making it a fun superhero. I don't know how would you classify Punisher as, but like Daredevil and Spider-Man and all kinds of people do show up in this book. So it's a superhero book.
Daredevil makes an appearance in the main run, and then he does a 4-issue run called War Zone. And that's where the Avengers makes an appearance, right? I don't think any other heroes make an appearance in the.
He did a 3. Well, there's a 3-issue tie-in. They tied in with the main run, issue 10, where it was an issue of Spider-Man and an issue of
Spider-Man with Daredevil. Yes, Spider-Man and Daredevil. That's true.
With the Omega Drive, but we'll be covering that in the second half. We're only covering the first 8 issues of the Rucka run in this episode. Another thing I really loved about this run is there are quite a few different artists that take the mantle on this. It's not just one, but they keep a really solid tone. You can't really tell that like it's changing artists. It kind of keeps that kind of Michael Lark, Sean Phillipsy kind of noir art look to it.
Lark actually does a few issues. He does one of the breaks, because the main artist is who's the guy who did the Daredevil with Zdarsky?
Gian Gunchino,
Checchetto, or whatever his name is. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Here, let me look at it. It's
I think it's Checchetto. Anyway, Checchetto is he's the main artist. He does the bulk of the issues, but they always have like an artist that comes in and does 1 or 2 issues, which seems to be common practice now in comics, where you have your main guy and then you'll have a guest artist that'll come and do a couple issues to give the main guy a break and maybe get caught up on his deadlines and stuff. But
in this book, it doesn't really throw you off, man. Like,
no.
The art stays consistent. It all looks like the same book. It's all got the same tone, which I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah, because if I look at it, you mentioned Lark, and he does do a few issues, and he does a few covers. Who's the other guy who does some covers? The first, I think, 5 issues, it's all the same cover artist. Uzima, is that his name or something like that?
Here, let me check really fast.
Yeah, he does. I think for the first arc, the first 5 issues, it's the same guy who does all the covers, unless it's Birch. Can't remember. It's yeah,
I
but
think
hmm.
that's the cover by Brian Hitch, Paul Neary,
Hit.
or Paul Martis. Brian
Yeah,
Hitch?
Hitch does. I think all the covers for the first 5 issues. Yeah,
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 they're really sweet. Here's issue 1.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, with
And
the lighting of the red lighting on him and stuff. That's pretty. The gun in your face. Pretty cool.
but before we get into the book proper, man, you have a check-in, Joseph.
I've been just hitting up the Marvel app now that I've got a subscription to it and checking stuff out. I've been reading a little bit of uh, David Heller's story arcs because we will possibly do a Big Tuesday episode of Legion. So we'll cover like the more prominent arcs of David Haller, and then we'll do the show. There'll be a 2-parter. So
What he
I've been
means is
starting.
we'll do the good arcs.
Yeah, well, we'll do the Muir Island saga where it's really like the main story with the Shadow King and stuff like that. And I think the other big arc would be Legion Quest is the other one. So, and I think that's a total of maybe 12 issues total. So we'll be reading that, and once we're done, I don't know when we'll do the episode. We'll eventually do the episode, rewatch the season, 3 seasons of Legion, and do like we'll cover the source material first and do the show after. So I've been hitting that up. Spanky recommended Weird World to me a while back, so I read the second issue of that. I read the first one last week, and it's I just hit that whenever I have some free time. So I read the second issue of that. That's a Sam Humphries and Mike Del Mundo book that came out in 2014-ish. And that's kind of like a weird fantasy take on fantasy, but it's got like some modern elements to it too. Like what's the character's name? The wizard killer drives like this muscle car but instead of gas, it's like fueled by some magic crystals or some shit like that. Anyway, it's pretty fun. It's a fun book.
Yeah,
Um,
Humphreys is a nut. He's usually pretty fun.
yeah, so I've been checking out the app there. What else have I? I read a few other things. I can't remember what they were. I don't have it with me. Pat's got her tablet. I read off her tablet for that. So yeah. Mm. So that's pretty much my check-in.
Right
How
on.
about you?
For me, like I just was like really hitting global comics really hard ever since
Hmm.
I joined it to read Nandor's books, and I found something that it's probably one of my favorite things I've found in a long time. He is a creator by the name of Pierre Nola. He is from the Netherlands, and he does this book. He does a lot of books on there. He's got quite a little library of work, but the one that I really dug into and read was called Biological but Not Mental, and it's just this really, really insane pseudo-political, surreal fever dream. It's kind of like Skibbity Toilet meets Steph Dumas and EPHK. Like I love it. It's got one of the coolest things I've ever seen, man. These octopus apes he draws, man. I fucking love them. They're like one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And we might be doing an episode on this, and we might be trying to get. He's very elusive. Like he's very he keeps his identity unknown, but like I would love to talk to Pierre, and we're gonna maybe try to get him on the show. But yeah, dude, anybody that's interested in something truly kind of original in comics right now, go on Global Comics. It's perfectly free to read. It's legal to read for free. Check out Biological but Not Mental by Pierre Ndola. It's fucking amazing. And that's my check-in. Aside from doing reading for the show.
Yeah, acid done.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, Greg Rucka's Punisher, man. This
Mm-hmm.
came out in a kind of big push. They were doing a kind of a reimagining. It wasn't quite Marvel Knights, but they were pitching it as that sort of thing. Like Mark Waid's Daredevil was just about to start. Greg Rucka was doing the Punisher, and Brian Michael Bendis was doing Moon Knight, and it was kind of like a big relaunch of the three characters. Sadly, only Mark Waid's Daredevil fucking lasted. The other two made it. Punisher got 20 issues. Moon Knight got 12. They both got pretty solid endings, though, man. I think both of them. I will get to the ending of this book when we get to it, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If you get into this arc and you read it all the way through, it's not gonna feel too rushed. It's gonna feel pretty solid. I think you I kind of want more of kind of how it ends, but and they never do. We'll get to it when we get to it. Let's just talk about this first arc. But yeah, this starts off really strong. It kind of introduces us to our new hero. I mean, she's you'll get to know her better. It's Rachel Cole / Alves. She took her husband's name, but like basically, she was married for just under 2 hours because at her wedding reception, a band of goons runs in and is being chased by another band of goons, and they just open fire and like kill everybody. And she almost dies too, but she's lucky, and she only gets like shot really bad, and she's kind of recovering. Meanwhile, we kind of meet our like I said, there's two really cool detectives. You have the old timer Ozzy Clements, who, like Joe said, man, like they literally were doing Morgan Freeman at the beginning of this book from Seven.
Yeah,
Look,
it's
right
Detective Somerset and Detective Mills, man. You got like I think right after the second issue, right away, that he changes the way he draws him, the look, because I mean that's straight up Morgan Freeman from Seven, and I think there was probably an editor's note for him on the second issue, be like, "Yo, dude, change it up, or else we're gonna have a lawsuit on our hands."
Bolt doesn't look exactly like Brad Pitt. He's clean shaven. If they would have gave him some stubble, like they would have been
yeah, especially that one shot you like that little smirk he gives and stuff, like. Yeah. It's definitely Somerset and Mills, man. That's for sure. I think there's no way to deny that first issue. You can see it's set up like Somerset. Yeah.
And kind of right off the bat, like you understand that Ozzy Clements, the old timer, the Morgan Freeman, he don't like the Punisher. He wants to bust him. And Walter Bolt, the new up and coming rookie, or he's not a rookie, but like he's new to the Detectives Bureau. He's kind of one of those guys that thinks the Punisher is doing good. So they're a little bit at odds. And basically, you find out that somebody on the force is giving Punisher information about the wedding because right after it happens, man, he starts taking out names that are thought to be involved, and we get. It's kind of cliche, the lights off, Punisher just killing everybody scene. But the way it's Checchetto does it, it's fucking gorgeous in this book.
Yeah.
The blue with the splotches of red. Oh man.
Yeah. Anyone that's read the Daredevil run there, they know what he's capable of putting down on the page. Like this guy's interiors are fantastic. I mean, extremely consistent, like from panel to panel, page to page. I mean, there's no let up in the quality of his work. Like he doesn't take a panel off. I mean, it's beautiful work all the way through. Yeah.
And at the end of the first issue, we basically find out who's giving Punisher information because Detective Bolt's telling the story about like how he got moved up, and you're kind of getting shown the real story. And basically what happened is there was this big shootout at a school, and all these mobsters got shot with Detective Bolt's gun, and they think he's a hero cop. But what really happened was Punisher came up and kind of borrowed his gun, capped all these fools, and Bolt kind of got the credit. And ever since, he's kind of been Punisher's kind of helper. He's kind of been giving him what he needs to know, especially on this case. And that leads us into issue 2, where we get introduced to our villains. And I like the villains in this book, man.
Yeah, it's a gang of former henchmen, villains that were sick of working for Hydra and getting their asses kicked by the Avengers. So they become a more street level, like crime.
They pretend to be business suave too, though. They call themselves the Exchange.
The Exchange, yeah, and they go more street level. That superheroes won't let the cops take care of that. So they have a fighting chance in their eyes by being it. So they get a bunch of disgruntled ex Hydra, and what's the other one?
She was
IMA or AIM?
yeah,
It's called
yeah,
AIM. Yeah, former AIM henchmen. They create this group and
oh,
yeah, start.
and they're great too. She is just like the AIM chick. She is just so turned on by like any superhero technology. Like if you have like a piece of Stark tech or like a something designed by Reed Richards, she's just totally into it. And then the guy, he's like so into her, but she won't give him the time of day.
Yeah,
So he's kind of incelly about it. And oh man, their chemistry is just great because she
yeah.
works him pretty good. And like,
He's a former Shield agent that's gone rogue.
yeah.
Yeah, Paulson is his name.
And basically right off the bat, they hired the new Vulture, who I
Yeah.
remember this. He showed up in Daredevil too. He doesn't last very long though. This new Vulture. They hire him to take on Frank Castle.
Yeah, he probably made an appearance in Daredevil, and they're like, nobody likes him. All right, well, Greg, could you? We'll let you use him for an issue. Just let the
Yeah.
Punisher fucking kill him.
Well, he's
But
got
it's a great. It's a great sequence though. The fight scene between him and the Punisher is fantastic. It's so good. Anyway, we'll get to that after.
He was scary when they didn't show him though. He's got a pretty horrible design. But
Yeah.
yeah. Right after that, we get introduced kind of one of our other protagonists, Nora, the reporter, and she's a beat reporter, but they have her doing anchor on the televised news, which she hates. So Ozzy tells her, you know what you should do? Cut your hair really short, man. Which I don't know. I think if you're hot, I like girls with short hair. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I liked her hairdo. Like
yeah.
she goes to the hairdresser and gets it done, and it actually turns out to be a pretty
I think
stylish.
she looks better in my opinion.
Yeah. Not straight laced, boring. You know, she has a little edge to her.
So I'd have kept her on the news. But
for sure.
More really cool scenes of Punisher working his way through killers of Rachel Alves' wedding, and she kind of wakes up and puts the pieces together what's happened because the cops kind of won't tell her what's happened to her family, and it kind of comes to her, and we get this really, really beautiful scene of just her freaking out through the window, and this is where it gets real. And like Joe said, man, we're into
the Vulture.
Like really cool action sequence here, man. It's completely airborne the entire time. And
you know what? I don't hate the Vulture design. It's just his face I don't like.
I don't like the outfit, man. I think it looks.
I mean, they went like emo, like total emo-ish, but I mean, I don't hate the outfit. It's all right.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like I think that a lot of they debuted him and people weren't into him, and they're like, okay, just let the Punisher kill him because
yeah,
they have a pretty sweet fight, man, and like and I love because like there's two stories going on. Like the Punisher's fighting this guy, the Exchanger watching it, but meanwhile, like we said, Nora, she's getting her hair cut.
Yeah, so she sees someone post something online about the Vulture in the sky fighting someone, so she's like, "Oh shit!"
So everybody's like watching this guy. Her and the cops are both watching this guy rushing towards the scene to see who can like find them first. Meanwhile, like this whole battle's just going on. Like Punisher like loses an eye here. I think
the Vulture sticks a talon into his eyeball or around the edge of his eye.
So he gets pretty jacked, and he snuffs him though, and I love this sequence where basically like he falls and gets knocked out, and she wakes up at the exact moment. I love the way that's kind of showing that like if you didn't know beforehand that like she's kind of gonna be like the new Punisher or Punisher sidekick at first.
Yeah, or the parallels of vengeance or revenge, getting their revenge, and she's actually a former Marine as well. So, there's a lot of parallels there.
But the reporter basically finds Frank, and he's like, you take me where I need to go. And she's like, all right. And she's like into it. And like she gives the Punisher a ride to his base and knows where he's hiding. She's like has a really cool conversation with Ben Urich because Ben Urich had the chance to narc out on Daredevil before several times, and like he never has. So they have a pretty cool discussion of like like the truth about a superhero. What should you do? And Ben's like, gives her the spiel. It's pretty cute. And meanwhile, like our two heroines kind of make buddies. Like they meet each other at the hospital. But I really like just all these like really cool flashes of murder scenes that the Punisher does. Because this one's really funny. After the his fight with the Vulture, he's trying to stitch himself up, but outside, like, these gangsters are beating up this doofus. And he goes and saves him, and he's like, "You come with me." And he's like, "I didn't do anything." He's like, "No, I just need you to hold the mirror while I stitch myself up."
Yeah. He goes to like a vet or something like that. Then once he's done, he just leaves money on the table, saying with a note, "This should cover it," or something for whatever he used, medical supplies. Yeah. And so he stitches himself up.
And like these two, they kind of start becoming friends. It's pretty cute. I like that part of the story. Meanwhile, we kind of get a time jump where like she's kind of in rehab. She's doing a lot better. She's able to walk thanks to like
physio stuff like that. Yeah,
walking around in the pool and everything. So she's doing pretty good. Meanwhile, the Punisher's been kind of out of town taking care of stuff.
Well, rehabbing himself as well.
Yeah, because he got
licking his wounds. He won that fight, but not at a pretty steep cost, right? Because now we get the new look. Punisher's got a new look. He's got the eye patch, the bandage over his eye.
And we get the really cool Thanksgiving issue where, like, he meets the kid whose parents are deployed, and what's his name? Bolt calls Clements to try to have him come over and eat with them, but he hangs up on him like a dick. I didn't think that was too cool of him, but basically, Rachel's hanging out with the reporter chick, kind of to steal her notes, but like this kind of leads to a really cool next couple issues where we'll get to. But she steals her notes on Thanksgiving, and that leads to the Punisher kind of getting found out by the kid, who I don't understand why he got so mad at him. I thought the kid should react kind of like the way the kid did in Saw X. You know what I mean? Like, but
because he's a good kid, man. He was raised to be a good kid. Murder is bad. Punisher kills people. Whether they're good or bad, you shouldn't kill people.
But basically, since they're both fully on the mend, doing pretty well, like they decide that it's time. And thanks to the notes that Rachel Alves got, she is able to ascertain where the villains are hiding, and it's at this ski resort where the Punisher is also at. And we get these kind of cool, really converging scenes of like the Punisher, taking care of the dogs with some tranquilized meat, and she kind of tricks a bellboy into thinking her boyfriend is staying in one of the rooms, so she rents one of the gets his coat from him and stuff.
Kinky,
and we kind of get these really cool shots, like the Punisher's like all decked out in his snow gear, like taking fools out. Meanwhile, she's like running the halls.
He puts the dogs to sleep but kills the people. He murders their asses. The
dogs are pretty innocent, man. Like they
I listen, I totally get that. Yeah, I totally get that. I'd probably murder the people and just be nice to the dogs as well.
She's running the hallway. She's just snuffing fools, man. Like they take out, I forget, like 28 people at this place. I forget the number. Something ridiculous like that. Something awesome.
And they have another one of their henchmen meetings there because they stole all their personal information from the laptops, so they're all in on all their little secret meetings and stuff. So they finally meet up.
And basically, like, they know they're both Marines, so they do this whole Marine thing where, like, oh no, wait, they meet up, and we get a really cool. I love this issue. The issue in between where you kind of really meet Ozzy Clements, and you learn his beef with the Punisher, and you him and Bolt have to drive upstate to the ski lodge to see the murders and to hear witnesses, and you kind of learn like both of their backstories, and they kind of learn each other's, but you get this really cool Michael Lark drawn fight scene between Daredevil and Punisher, just gorgeous, where you kind of find out why Ozzy dislikes the Punisher, because Daredevil He's a Daredevil fan, basically. He's on Daredevil's side of doing things, man. Bust the villains, don't kill them. You know what I mean? That type of
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. What's up, Evil Pilgrim? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah. So what issue? What issue are we on now? What issue is that? Do you remember?
It is issue 7, so we're almost at. Damn, I didn't know this episode would go by so fast. We're almost.
Yeah, man, that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
But yeah, and basically, Clemens tells Bolt that he knows that he's feeding stuff to the Punisher, and but you get to the ski lodge and you see that they both have the same type of clinical thinking mind. They both see that the laptops are gone in the same manner, and they basically both come to the conclusion that the Punisher has an accomplice because there are several people killed not in his typical MO, not using his typical guns. So yeah, they're totally on the know. But this is where we flash back to the next issue is where we flash back to the assault on the ski lodge. We get some really cool gruesome shots, and then we kind of see that they're like, oh, blue on blue, blue on blue, doing their Marine talk.
Yeah.
Where like completely.
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier. Evil Pilgrim, like a man of few words, but a man of action and few words, like that. I'm with you on that. I enjoyed that. He has very little dialogue in this. It's all about the mission, him getting out there, and there's no monologuing or anything like that. Like Johnny said, it's a very action oriented book. So yeah, a lot of the issues read fast because there's a lot of action in it.
But like what this issue does, like it kind of flashes back, kind of shows us what we already know about like the Punisher and Rachel working together. But like what it really delivers with is backstory on the villains and more just getting to know them, because they kind of roll up on each other, and he shows her that he's got a completely hollowed out shield base, man, which kind of really gets her motor running, man, because it's full of Tony Stark tech. And like basically she kind of starts flirting on him a little bit, and he just calls him partner and stuff, and look at his little like happy little face back there, just like, oh yeah, man.
Yeah, he's like, oh, if I would have known that's all it took, I would have brought you here sooner. Damn Paulson. He has no game.
Yeah, poor guy. Is she working him though, man? She
yeah.
Thing.
Oh, you see now he looks a lot different, eh? Now when we're getting more deeper into the comic there, he doesn't look like Somerset so much anymore.
Yeah, he's kind of looking more like I would say kind of like, what's his name? The guy that played. Yeah, Richard Roundtree, definitely. He does.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, Roundtree-ish, yeah.
I was thinking of what's the actor's name? He played a Rhodey in the first Iron Man. Terrence Howard. He kind of looks like Terrence Howard now that he's older.
Yeah. Because before, man, that was just straight up Morgan Freeman. That was straight up Somerset. So
yeah. But yeah, basically they kind of go and talk to Rebecca Alves. They know, you know what I mean? It's kind of obvious who would be out there killing these fuckers too if it's not the Punisher. And
they have procedure though. They're cops. They have to follow procedure, man. They just can't go around like the Punisher and her and just like, you know, just take the law into their own hands, you know.
And basically, like, you kind of learn that Punisher told her to kind of, you stay out of my way, you know what I mean, from now on. So at the ski lodge. So she's not going to listen to him though. So like they
no. Hey, when you've had girlfriends before, when do they ever listen to anything you tell them? They're telling them something, they'll just go and do the opposite for sure.
And then this halfway point, like we're kind of going to leave you guys at, it's a nice cliffhanger. It kind of meets with them converging again, but like in two different places. One of them has stumbled into a trap, while one of the other ones is sneaking up behind Coulson. And that is dun dun dun, the end of issue 8. There are 16 issues in this run, so we are going to cover issues 9 through 16, as well as
the Warzone 5-shot mini series. Yeah,
the perfect end, which is a really good ending, and I wouldn't say perfect, but it ties up pretty good.
But I love the look of the Punisher in this. Like, I Elle was supposed to be on the episode with us, and she gave me a few notes there because she couldn't make it because train issues. The train was running late, and she had to go pick up her husband. But she read the whole series, and she said she'd never read Punisher before. This is the first time she's read through.
Wow, cool.
The Punisher book, and she said she dug it though, and you can quote me on this. She says she wasn't a big fan of the jizz-esque Punisher symbol, nor the cut-off sleeves aesthetic.
Huh.
So, but I love, because that's like the spray painted, right? That's the spray painted Punisher logo, and I love the spray painted Punisher logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig it. I like it. Elle didn't like it because she thought it looked like, someone shot jizz on the Punisher's chest. But hey, to each their own, man.
The money shot Punisher.
Yeah, money shot Punisher. I dug with the beard and everything. Then you get like, anyway, we'll get to it later. Like the whole the patch thing. Right now he's got the bandage. So anyway, he eventually goes with the eye patch later on. Obviously, he can't just run around with a bandage, but I dig the bandaged up face and stuff. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I like the look too. He's not quite as huge as he was drawn in the Max series, but he's still imposing and
yeah, he's fit for sure. Yeah.
And he's a bit younger looking than they were drawing him in the Max series. They kind of aged him down again, I would say, for this run. But yeah, I like him a lot when he gets more rougher looking in the beginning of the book, where he's kind of more clean shaven. He's a little too pretty, in my opinion.
Yeah. But, yeah, when he starts getting the beard and stuff, I like the bearded look. I don't dislike it.
That's a good point. How many Marvel heroes do have patches now? You got Nick Fury, both Nick Furies, because there's the classic and what I forget what they gave the other one a name now. The Sam Jackson style one.
Oh, he's not called Nick Fury anymore?
Man, they give him a nickname. I forget what it is. But Punisher didn't keep the eye patch. Like they kind of retconned all of this kind of directly after.
Yeah.
With
well, that gets dealt with in the War Zone, but they never really kind of go into. Anyway, we'll get to it when we get to it. I thought it was weird. I was like, wait a second. I had to go back a few pages, and I'm like, what the fuck happened to the eye patch? It just disappears all of a sudden. I was like, what the fuck? Anyway, we could elaborate on that more once we cover because we're going to do a two-parter, right? We're going to do, this is part one, and we'll cover the second half with the War Zone. We'll do another part two of this. I don't know when we'll do it. Maybe
next Tuesday.
Maybe next Tuesday. Yeah, we'll do part two. So
maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna definitely, like, the reason why we're doing a two-parter is my fault. Like I said, I'm definitely gonna get like all the rest of the stuff set up for the next episode. So
Extra Wolverine had a patch for a little while when he did the storyline with Joe Fixit. He was wearing a patch back then, early on in his own run.
Yeah, when he was hanging out in Madripoor. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all. Yeah, they had Wolverine and Punisher have a bond, so makes sense. They're patch buddies.
Yeah, we'll actually talk about that in the next episode. Some pretty cool.
Yeah, Wolverine. Yeah. They go into the Wolverine Punisher relationship quite a bit in the second part. Well, definitely in the War Zone. They touch on it in the War Zone miniseries. Yeah.
But yeah, all right.
Greg Rucka, man. Like what have I read? I read his Batwoman, which I love. That's a great run. If you guys want to read something from him that you have it, like if you haven't yet, that's probably fantastic. I love that run, his Batwoman. What's the other thing he worked on? It's kind of like a Jessica Jones type story.
Stumptown?
Yeah, Stumptown. That was decent. I enjoyed that. Stumptown was pretty good. And that show I love that show. It's too bad that COVID happened, because it was supposed to get a second season and it got canned because of the shutdown of COVID. So we never got a second season of Stumptown. But I enjoyed that. And like, he likes the war stuff, eh? He likes like characters that are either ex-army or ex-military. Mm,
Well, he likes espionage. He kind of keeps it to like
yeah.
the spy level though too. Like if you like read Queen and Country or like Old Guard. Another thing
Old
kind
Guard,
of
yeah.
cool about this is it's one of the few books that I really know aside from his Daredevil really that like it's about a male character. He's like me. He really likes like
That's
female
true.
protagonists.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Which,
Lazarus.
hey,
Like
I'm a sucker for a really badass female lead. Like I love it. So, and
no,
I'm right there with him on that.
I mean, even like his new book, The Forged, that the trade just came out this week. Like it's all female pro tags. So yeah,
Mm,
I kind of really appreciate
yeah.
that about his writing. But yeah, the Punisher, this is kind of one of his, and even this, he works in a female pro tag. She's just not the main.
Of Wonder Woman, I believe he did like a small. Yeah, when I was going through some of the stuff, I saw that he did work on
Yeah,
Wonder Woman. But
I was Wonder Woman. It's
mhm,
pretty good.
mm,
But yeah,
mm.
Rucka, he's the man.
Yeah,
He's
he's awesome.
he kind of traded off with Brubaker, but the first Gotham Central run between those two was really good. He
That's
did a
true. He worked
majority
on
of that.
that. Yeah. Hmm.
He kind of wrote a majority of it in my. I think they kind of traded off, but I think Rucka actually did more issues than Brubaker.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Old Guard, Black Magic, Lazarus, Queen and Country, Whiteout. Like he's written
That's true.
so
Black
many really.
Magic. Wow, I forgot about that one. That's a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. He likes cops, he likes army, he likes spies. You know what I mean? That's kind of his bread and butter. But like he does do some pretty fun superheroes too. Like Pilgrim pointed out, his Wonder Woman was a lot of
Mm,
fun.
mm.
Not as good as Az's, but like it was cool. Like Azraello's my favorite like Wonder Woman I think I've read.
Yeah. Well, that could be a future big two. How
We're
many?
gonna have to break it up, man. That he had a pretty
How,
long run on that.
what? 25, 50 issues?
Into the around 40, I think, somewhere around
Yeah.
40. I
So
don't.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good length. Like if you're gonna go long form, I think between 30 to 50 is a nice number to tell like a really in-depth story and stuff. Like I really enjoy those like 25, 30, 40, 50, like anywhere between the 30 and 40 50 range there when you're getting a story is it gives you a really nice full fleshed out story.
Yeah, as a classic Vertigo fan, like I think 60 is a really good place to end off because that's like 5 years of comics if they ran straight through. You
Hmm.
get really good arcs. I don't know. Even at that point, though, sometimes some of the endings did feel rushed, but
Hmm.
I think that that's a good period of time, man. I think like a 60 issue run at most is pretty good, but I don't know. I some people like to read for, I guess, you know what I mean, and want the story to continue. But yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, and like I was saying, this is part one. We're breaking this up into two. So if you haven't read this run yet, go pick it up. You could easily like zip through it pretty quick because, like Johnny was saying, it's very action heavy. So a lot of the issues that are more action oriented are quick reads, and the action is fantastic. Like we'll get to some of my favorite scenes later on where they're fighting in the rain. There's some great panels in there, just like like sequential fight scenes in the rain. Like, and I'm a sucker for like scenes with snow, rain, like in sync. The sync issue with the rain, like it just makes for some really cool visuals.
well,
So,
because if you
yeah.
draw, you know how hard that shit is, man.
Mm. But it's fun too because it can become their like drawing the rain and where it hits and where it speckles. You know, you get that rain, so you got to draw that in, and it becomes like almost like relaxing, like meditative. You know, like because you're so used to getting in, doing the details. Then when you get to this, you can be a little more loose, and so it's fun. But like I was saying, we're two parts. So if you want to hop on next week when we do part two, you could easily like if you go get this now, you could easily zip through it. And we're going to be covering the 5 issue miniseries after Warzone that Rucka did following this 16 issue run. So yeah, man. Uh, Go get it, zip through it. And so we might have Elle on with us for part two because she read it. Sadly, she couldn't make it on to this episode. Oh yeah, but she, yeah, I forgot to finish quoting her. She said, but she loved everything else about the series. The page where Rachel gets shot in the wedding dress is hands down my top Marvel pages art wise. So she loves that. Is a beautiful scene where she has the tear coming down with her mascara smudge and in her wedding dress. That is definitely a poignant panel. Very, very beautiful page. I agree with Elle there. So yeah. So yeah, man. Elle's a fan. She would have said so if she was here. So I'll echo that sentiment for her. I enjoyed the run up to issue 8 now. Part 2 next week. Man, Rucka. I think Rucka, man, even when he's not on, let's say he's not writing your favorite story, he's still writing a good story. Like, it's still good. Even though it may not be your cup of tea, I mean, it's still, there's still something there that'll draw you in, right?
Well, his name draws me in because I'm not the world's biggest Wonder Woman fan. Like I don't just willy-nilly read her. Like somebody cool has to be writing on her. And yeah, like Rucka's one of them names because it's just so weird because like we said, like he usually keeps the cops, army men, or spies. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So him doing somebody that's so bombastically superheroic, you know what I mean? That's like, I wonder how the fuck he's gonna do that. You know what I mean? It really really captures. Same thing with Az doing Wonder Woman.
Yeah. But, maybe he wanted to challenge himself, try something different, change it up a bit, Maybe he was like, I need to take a break from, maybe he thought his writing was getting too repetitive, stagnant, so he wanted to try something else to get like, a different perspective, get the juices flowing again.
Straight up. But yeah, I can't recommend this arc highly enough. Like I said, I find it completely underrated. It's in my top Punisher runs. I don't know like where exactly, but like it's right there with the Ines Max run. You know what I mean? It is just solid. And for like it being stuck with in the Prime 616 universe with all the superheroes and everything, it is by far one of the best ones to check out, in my opinion, in that format. So yeah, join us on our next adventure into Greg Rucka's Punisher, and after that we're gonna definitely get some DC stuff in there for the fans of that, so it doesn't look like we're just gonna be Marvel heavy. And yeah, until next time, which will be Thursday, we're gonna be talking to Corinne
Halbert, the writer of Acid Nun, at 8 p.m. on Thursday. So come check that out. That's should be a really fun interview, fun conversation with Corinne. So yeah, man, don't miss out on that.
Right. Until then, man, we'll see you guys later.